The rain fell softly on the streets of Seoul that autumn evening, creating mirrors on the pavement that reflected the city's neon lights. Min-jun Park stood at the window of his family's penthouse apartment, watching the world below with the same distant expression he had worn for the past 28 years. Born into one of South Korea's most powerful chaebol families, he had everything money could buy, yet felt nothing at all. His mother called him from the dining room. "Min-jun, come. The Choi family is here for dinner." He turned away from the window, adjusting his designer suit jacket. Another evening. Another potential bride parade. His parents had been trying to arrange his marriage for 3 years now, each candidate more suitable than the last. Daughters of politicians, heiresses to business empires, women groomed from birth to be perfect wives to men like him. Yet he felt nothing for any of them. The Choi daughter was beautiful, educated at Harvard, spoke 4 languages. She smiled perfectly, laughed at the right moments, and knew exactly how to pour tea with grace. Throughout dinner, Min-jun played his role. The dutiful son, the charming heir, the future of the Park Empire. But inside, he felt hollow. "She's perfect for you," his mother whispered as the Choi prepared to leave. "The merger between our companies would be beneficial for everyone." Min-jun nodded, saying nothing. He had learned long ago that his opinion mattered little in these arrangements. Love was a luxury people like him couldn't afford. Marriage was business, another contract to sign, another deal to close. 3 weeks later, he found himself in New York City for a technology conference. The Park family's electronics empire was expanding into the American market, and as the heir apparent, Min-jun needed to understand their new territory. He moved through the conference like a ghost, shaking hands, exchanging business cards, speaking words that meant nothing. On his 3rd night in the city, his American business partner, David Chen, invited him to a jazz club in Harlem. Min-jun wanted to refuse. Jazz wasn't his scene, and he preferred the safety of his hotel suite. But David insisted, claiming it would be good for him to experience real New York culture. The Blue Moon Club was nothing like the exclusive establishments Min-jun frequented in Seoul. The walls were brick, painted dark blue, with photographs of jazz legends covering every surface. The air was thick with conversation and music, and people of every color and background filled the space. Min-jun felt immediately out of place in his $3,000 suit. "Relax," David said, guiding him to a small table near the stage. "Nobody cares who you are here. Just enjoy the music." The lights dimmed, and a woman walked onto the stage. Min-jun's breath caught in his throat. She was tall, with natural hair that formed a halo around her face, wearing a simple red dress that moved like water when she walked. Her skin glowed under the stage lights. And when she smiled at the audience, it was like the sun breaking through clouds. "Good evening, beautiful people," she said into the microphone, her voice warm honey. "I'm Amara Johnson, and I'm going to sing for you tonight." When she began to sing, Min-jun felt something crack inside his chest. Her voice wasn't just beautiful, it was raw, honest, filled with emotions he had spent his entire life learning to suppress. She sang about love and loss, about dreams and disappointments, about finding light in darkness. Her eyes closed as she lost herself in the music. And Min-jun found himself leaning forward, drawn by something he couldn't name. During the instrumental break, her eyes opened and swept across the audience. For one brief moment, they met his, and Min-jun felt electricity shoot through his entire body. She smiled, not the calculated smiles he was used to, but something real and spontaneous. Then she looked away, returning to her song, leaving Min-jun feeling like he had been struck by lightning. When her set ended, the audience erupted in applause. Min-jun clapped until his hands hurt, something wild and unfamiliar blooming in his chest. David was saying something about the next performer, but Min-jun wasn't listening. His eyes followed Amara as she left the stage, disappearing into the crowd. "I need some air," he told David, standing abruptly. Outside, the Harlem night was warm and alive. People walked by in groups, laughing and talking. Music spilled from other clubs, mixing with the sound of traffic and conversation. Min-jun had never felt so far from home. Yet somehow, he felt more present than he had in years. You okay there? He turned to find Amara standing beside him, now wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt, a leather jacket thrown over her shoulders. Up close, she was even more beautiful. But it wasn't just her physical beauty that struck him. There was something in her eyes, a strength, a knowing, a light that seemed to come from within. Yes, he managed, his usually perfect English suddenly clumsy. You're singing? It was extraordinary. She smiled, and again, Minjun felt that strange warmth in his chest. Thank you. You're not from around here, are you? Seoul, he said. South Korea. Long way from home. She studied him with curiosity. What brings you to Harlem? Business, he said automatically, then surprised himself by adding, but I think I was really brought here to hear you sing. She laughed, a sound like music itself. That's a good line. Does it usually work? I don't know, Minjun said honestly. I've never said it before. Something shifted in her expression. Surprise, maybe. Or interest. You want to get some coffee? There's a place around the corner that's open late. Minjun knew he should say no. He had an early meeting tomorrow. He didn't know this woman. His bodyguard was probably already panicking about his absence. But looking at Amara, at the way the streetlight caught in her eyes, he found himself nodding. The coffee shop was small and worn, with mismatched chairs and tables scarred by years of use. They sat by the window, and Amara ordered for both of them. Strong coffee, and a slice of sweet potato pie to share. So, Seoul, she said, settling back in her chair. Tell me about it. Minjun found himself talking in a way he never had before, not about business or family obligations, but about the city itself, the mountains that surrounded it, the way the Han River looked at sunset, the cherry blossoms in spring. Amara listened with genuine interest, asking questions that showed she was really paying attention. What about you? He asked. Have you always lived in New York? Born and raised in Brooklyn, she said. My grandmother moved up from Georgia in the 60s, looking for better opportunities. She cleaned houses for 40 years so my mother could go to college. Mom became a teacher, made sure I had piano lessons, voice lessons, everything she thought would give me a chance. And it worked. You're incredible. Amara's expression turned wistful. I sing 3 nights a week at different clubs, teach music at a community center during the day. It's not Carnegie Hall, but it's honest work. I get to share music with people who need it. People who need it? Music heals, she said simply. When you've had a hard day, when the world feels too heavy, when you've forgotten how to feel anything at all, music reminds you you're alive. Minjun stared at her, wondering if she could see straight through him. I think I had forgotten, he said quietly. Forgotten what? How to feel alive. The words hung between them, more honest than anything Minjun had said in years. Amara reached across the table and touched his hand briefly, the contact sending shockwaves through his system. Well, she said softly, consider yourself reminded. They talked until the coffee shop owner pointedly turned off the open sign. Minjun walked Amara to the subway station, both of them moving slowly, reluctant for the evening to end. Will you sing again tomorrow night? He asked. Different club, she said. Downtown, the green room. May I come? She looked at him for a long moment. I don't know anything about you, really. You could be anyone. My name is Minjun Park, he said. I'm 28 years old. I work for my family's company. I've never heard anyone sing the way you do. And I would very much like to see you again. Amara smiled. The green room. 9 o'clock. Don't wear such an expensive suit this time. You'll make the other musicians nervous. She disappeared down the subway stairs before he could respond. Minjun stood on the sidewalk for a long time, his hand still warm where she had touched it. For the first time in his memory, he was looking forward to tomorrow. Back at his hotel, 17 missed calls waited on his phone. His bodyguard, his assistant, David, all panicking about his disappearance. Minjun ignored them all. He lay on the pristine hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the evening. Amara's voice echoed in his mind, along with her laugh, her smile. The way she had looked at him like he was just a man. Not an heir, or a business deal, or a disappointment to his family. The next day's meetings passed in a blur. Minjun was physically present but mentally absent, checking his watch every few minutes, calculating how long until 9 o'clock. His American partners probably thought he was eager to return to Seoul. But the truth was exactly the opposite. He had his assistant buy him regular clothes, jeans, a simple button-down shirt, sneakers that felt foreign on his feet. Looking in the mirror, he hardly recognized himself without the armor of his usual attire. The green room was smaller than the Blue Moon, more intimate. Minjun arrived early, claiming a table where he could see the stage clearly. The crowd was different here. Younger, more diverse. Nobody gave him a second glance, and he realized this was what it felt like to be anonymous, to be just another person in the city. When Amara took the stage, she wore a flowing blue dress that made her look like water itself. Her eyes found him immediately in the crowd, and she smiled, a private smile, just for him. Then she began to sing. And again, Minjun felt that strange alchemy happening in his chest. Ice melting, walls crumbling, something long dead stirring to life. After her set, she joined him at his table. "You came," she said, sounding pleased but surprised. "I said I would. People say a lot of things." They fell into conversation as easily as the night before, and Minjun found himself telling her things he had never told anyone. About the pressure of being the only son, the heir to an empire he never asked for. About the loneliness of being surrounded by people who only saw dollar signs when they looked at him. About the marriage arrangements, the suitable women who bored him to tears. "That sounds like a prison," Amara said quietly. "A golden cage is still a cage," Minjun agreed. "So break out," she said, as if it were that simple. "It's not that easy. My family, the company, thousands of employees depend on you being miserable?" Amara interrupted. "That's a strange business model," he laughed, surprising himself. "When you put it that way, it does sound foolish. How long are you in New York?" "4 more days." "Well then," Amara said, "we'd better make them count." What followed were 4 days unlike any Minjun had ever experienced. Between his scheduled meetings, he met Amara all over the city. She showed him her New York, not the polished, expensive version he knew, but the real city. They ate from food trucks, rode the subway at rush hour, walked through Central Park as the leaves turned gold and red. She took him to the community center where she taught, and he watched her work with children who looked at her like she hung the moon. She was patient, encouraging, drawing music from kids who probably had little else to smile about. Minjun found himself at the old piano in the corner, playing accompaniment, making the children laugh when he hit a wrong note. "You're good with them," Amara said afterward. "They're easy to like," he said. "They're honest. Unlike the people in your world? In my world, everyone wants something. These kids just want to learn music." On his last night, Amara took him to Brooklyn, to the neighborhood where she grew up. They walked streets lined with brownstones, and she pointed out landmarks of her childhood. The corner store where she bought candy, the church where she first sang solo, the apartment building where her grandmother still lived. "She'd like you," Amara said as they stood outside the building. "You think so? She always says you can tell everything about a person by their eyes. Yours are sad but kind." Chapter stand. They ended up on the Brooklyn Bridge as the sun set, the city spreading out before them like a blanket of lights. The October wind was cold, and Amara shivered in her thin jacket. Without thinking, Minjun pulled her close, wrapping his coat around both of them. "I have to leave tomorrow," he said into her hair. "I know. I don't want to." She pulled back to look at him. "Minjun, we've known each other for 5 days. The best 5 days of my life. You can't just throw away everything for go." "For what? For feeling alive? For being happy? For you?" The words poured out of him. Years of suppressed emotion, finally finding voice. "Amara, I have spent my entire life doing what was expected of me. being who I was supposed to be. These 5 days with you, it's the first time I've ever felt like myself. She was crying, he realized. Tears sliding silently down her cheeks. You have to go back. You have responsibilities. I'll come back, he said desperately. I'll find a way. She silenced him by pressing her fingers to his lips. Minjun, you're a prince in your world. I'm a jazz singer from Brooklyn. This isn't a fairy tale. Why not? He demanded. Why can't it be? Instead of answering, she stood on her toes and kissed him. It wasn't the polite, chaste kisses he had exchanged with suitable women at suitable times. This was fire and music and everything he had been missing his whole life. The city faded away. The cold disappeared. And there was only Amara. Only this moment. Only the feeling of finally being complete. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. Amara's eyes were bright with tears and something else. Something that gave him hope. Remember this, she whispered. Remember how it feels to be alive. They took a taxi back to Manhattan, holding hands in silence. At her subway stop, she got out without looking back. Minjun watched her disappear into the crowd, feeling like she was taking his newly discovered heart with her. The flight back to Seoul was the longest of his life. Minjun stared out the window at the clouds, replaying every moment, every conversation, every touch. His phone rang constantly. His mother, his father, his assistant with his schedule for the week. He ignored them all. At Incheon Airport, his driver was waiting with the Bentley. Welcome home, Mr. Park, he said. And Minjun almost laughed at the phrase. Home had stopped feeling like home the moment he met Amara. The family dinner that night was excruciating. His parents discussed the Choi merger, upcoming charity galas, which politicians to invite to the company anniversary celebration. Minjun pushed food around his plate, contributing nothing to the conversation. You're quiet tonight, his mother observed. How was New York? Fine, he said. Just fine, David Chen called. He said you disappeared several evenings. Where did you go? I explored the city. His father frowned. Alone? Without security? Minjun, you know better. What if something had happened? Something did happen, Minjun thought. I fell in love. I need to tell you both something, he said, setting down his chopsticks. His parents exchanged glances. What is it? His mother asked. I'm not marrying the Choi daughter, or anyone else you choose for me. The silence was deafening. His father's face darkened. This is not your decision to make. Yes, Minjun said quietly. It is. He stood up from the table, leaving his parents speechless behind him. In his room, he opened his laptop and began researching. Jazz clubs in Seoul. Music schools that might need investors. Ways to bridge the distance between Seoul and New York. 3 days later, he was in his office when his assistant knocked. Mr. Park? There's a package for you. No return address. Inside was a CD, hand-labeled, for Minjun, remember. He closed his office door, put the CD in his computer, and Amara's voice filled the room. She was singing a song he hadn't heard before. Something slow and achingly beautiful about chances not taken, and loves that couldn't be. But at the end, she spoke. Minjun, I wanted you to have this. You gave me 5 days of magic. You reminded me that fairy tales might not be real, but magic moments are. Don't let them make you forget how it feels to be alive. The world needs more people who remember how to feel, especially princes who know how to play piano for kids who need music. Be well. Be happy. Be yourself. Minjun played the recording again and again, her voice washing over him like warm rain. He thought about duty and responsibility, about family expectations and business empires. Then he thought about Amara's smile, her laugh, the way she moved through the world spreading light. His phone rang. Another suitable woman's family wanting to arrange a meeting. Minjun looked at the phone, then at his computer screen where he had been reviewing acquisition proposals. He thought about golden cages and the song of a bird who had learned to fly free. He declined the call and opened a new document. It was time to write a new proposal. Not for a business acquisition, but for his own life. The untouchable prince of the Park Empire was done being untouchable. Amara had shown him what it meant to feel, to live, to love. Now he had to find the courage to fight for it. Outside his office window, Seoul stretched endlessly, a maze of glass and steel and duty. But somewhere beyond the horizon was New York, and a jazz singer who had changed everything with a song and a kiss on a bridge. Min-jun began to type, each word a small revolution, each sentence a step toward freedom. He had been the untouchable prince for 28 years. It was time to learn how to be just Min-jun. A man who had been kissed by a woman named Amara and finally understood what it meant to be alive. The rebellion started small. Min-jun began with his wardrobe, trading some of his Italian suits for simpler clothes he ordered online. His secretary noticed first, her eyes widening when he arrived at the office wearing a regular blazer and jeans on a Friday. "Are you feeling well, Mr. Park?" she asked carefully. "Better than I have in years," he replied, startling her with a genuine smile. The changes rippled outward. In board meetings, he started asking different questions, not just about profit margins and market share, but about employee satisfaction and community impact. When his father presented plans to demolish a historic neighborhood for a new shopping complex, Min-jun spoke up. "What about the families who live there?" he asked. "The small businesses that have operated for generations?" The board members shifted uncomfortably. His father's jaw tightened. "We've offered them compensation. Money doesn't replace community," Min-jun said, thinking of the Brooklyn streets where Amara had shown him her childhood. "What if we renovate instead? Preserve the character while improving the infrastructure? That would cost 3 times as much," his father said coldly. "And create 10 times more goodwill," Min-jun countered. "Isn't that worth something?" After the meeting, his father summoned him to his office. The older man stood behind his massive desk, looking at his son as if seeing a stranger. "What happened to you in New York?" he asked. "I remembered who I wanted to be before you told me who I had to be," Min-jun answered. "This is about a woman," his father said. It wasn't a question. Min-jun didn't deny it. "It's about more than that. It's about building a life worth living. You have responsibilities, which I'm not abandoning. I'm here, aren't I? Working. Contributing. I'm just doing it as myself. Not as your puppet." His father's face darkened dangerously. "Watch your tongue." "Or what?" Min-jun asked quietly. "You'll disown me? Cut me off?" "Father, I've been dead inside for years, doing everything you asked. If the price of feeling alive is losing your approval, I'll pay it gladly." He left his father's office knowing war had been declared. But for the first time in his life, he had something worth fighting for. At night, he listened to Amara's CD and worked on his plans. He researched music education programs, studied successful community centers, looked into partnerships between Korean and American arts organizations. He wasn't just dreaming of a future with Amara. He was building a bridge to it. 2 weeks after returning from New York, he got an unexpected call from David Chen. "Min-jun, how are you, my friend? Listen, I have a proposition. We're organizing a cultural exchange program, bringing American artists to Seoul, sending Korean artists to New York. 3-month residencies. I immediately thought of you." Min-jun's heart raced. "Tell me more." "We need a Korean corporate sponsor. Someone who understands the value of cross-cultural artistic exchange. Interested? Send me the proposal," Min-jun said, already knowing he would find a way to make it happen. That night, he called his younger sister, Mi-sun, who lived in Paris pursuing her photography career, the one family rebel who had escaped before him. "June," she exclaimed. "Mom told me you've gone crazy, refusing arranged marriages, fighting with father in board meetings. What's going on?" "I met someone," he said simply. "Tell me everything." He did, surprising himself with how easily the words flowed. Mi-sun listened without interrupting. And when he finished, she was quiet for a moment. "You sound different," she said finally. You sound happy. I think I am. Or I'm trying to be. Then fight for it, big brother. You've sacrificed enough for the family business. It's time to live for yourself. In 1745, her support gave him strength. The next day, he presented the cultural exchange proposal to the board, framing it as a strategic move to enhance the company's international image. He didn't mention that he had already confirmed Amara would be among the first group of American artists invited. The board approved, narrowly. His father said nothing during the meeting, but his cold stare spoke volumes. Minjun threw himself into organizing the program. He personally oversaw the renovation of a building in Hongdae to serve as artist housing and studio space. He arranged partnerships with local venues, ensuring the visiting artists would have platforms to perform and teach. Every detail was planned with Amara in mind, though her name appeared nowhere in his presentations. 6 weeks after leaving New York, he received an email that made his hands shake. Minjun, David told me about the exchange program. I've been selected as one of the artists. I'll be in Seoul in 3 weeks. I'm terrified and excited, and I can't stop thinking about you. I hope you meant what you said on the bridge. He read it 17 times. Then spent an hour crafting a response that wouldn't reveal how desperately he had orchestrated this chance. Amara, Seoul is waiting for you. So am I. Minjun. The 3 weeks crawled by. Minjun supervised every detail of the artist housing, ensuring Amara's apartment had the best view, a small piano, and was walking distance from the best coffee shops. He researched jazz venues, Korean food he thought she might like, places where her voice would be appreciated. His mother cornered him one evening, holding a newspaper article about the exchange program. This American singer, she said, pointing to a photo of Amara. She's the reason for all of this, isn't she? Minjun met his mother's eyes. Yes. She's not suitable. For who? For you? For the company image? He shook his head. Mother, I've spent my whole life being suitable. It nearly killed me. You're being dramatic. Am I? When was the last time you saw me smile before New York? When was the last time I seemed excited about anything? His mother's expression softened slightly. Your father won't accept this. He doesn't have to. I'm not asking for permission anymore. The day Amara arrived, Minjun sent a car to the airport but didn't go himself. He wanted their reunion to be private, away from chauffeurs and assistants. He waited at the artist housing, pacing the lobby until the car pulled up. She stepped out wearing jeans and a flowing top, her hair wrapped in a colorful scarf, looking tired from the long flight but still radiant. Their eyes met across the distance, and Minjun felt that same electric jolt from the jazz club. Hi, she said softly when he reached her. Hi, he replied, drinking in the sight of her. So this is Seoul. This is Seoul. Welcome home. The word slipped out without thought, but he saw how it affected her, her eyes brightening with unshed tears. Minjun, I know, he said. 3 months isn't forever. But it's a start. He showed her to her apartment, watching nervously as she explored the space. When she found the piano, she sat down immediately and played a few bars of the song she had sung that first night at the Blue Moon. You remembered, she said. I remember everything. She stood and came to him, stopping just out of reach. Your family must hate this. That's their choice. And the suitable women? There's only one woman I want to be suitable for, he said. She taught me that being suitable means being yourself. Minjun, I need you to understand, Amara said seriously. I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to become some corporate wife, going to galas and pretending to care about stock prices. I'm a singer, a teacher. That's who I am. I know exactly who you are, he said. That's who I fell in love with. I'm not asking you to change. I'm changing myself so we can build something together. She studied his face for a long moment, then closed the distance between them. The kiss was different from the one on the bridge. Less desperate. More certain. A beginning instead of a goodbye. Over the next days, Minjun introduced Amara to Seoul. He took her to Bukchon Hanok village, where traditional houses nestled between modern buildings. They climbed Namsan Tower at sunset, the city spreading beneath them like a sea of lights. He taught her to eat with chopsticks, laughing when she dropped her kimchi, and she taught him to really taste his food instead of rushing through meals. "You eat like someone's going to steal your plate," she teased. "Old habit. Efficiency in everything." "Life isn't meant to be efficient," she said. "It's meant to be savored." He took her to meet Mi-sun, who was visiting from Paris. The two women bonded immediately. Mi-sun showing Amara embarrassing childhood photos of Min-jun, while he protested helplessly. "I like her," Mi-sun declared in Korean, while Amara was in the bathroom. "She makes you human." "I'm trying to be," he admitted. "Just don't let father break you. Or her." The first crisis came 2 weeks into Amara's residency. She was scheduled to perform at a prestigious venue, a concert Min-jun had carefully arranged. The morning of the performance, his father appeared in his office. "Cancel it," he ordered. "The concert tonight. Cancel it." "No." His father's face flushed. "I've tolerated your rebellion long enough. This ends now. You will not embarrass the family by parading your American distraction in front of Seoul society." "Her name is Amara," Min-jun said calmly. "She's a talented artist here on a cultural exchange. The concert goes on. Then you're no longer my son." The words hung in the air like a blade. Min-jun felt the cut but didn't flinch. "I'll always be your son," he said quietly. "But I won't be your prisoner anymore." His father left without another word. Min-jun sat at his desk, hands shaking slightly. He had known this moment would come. But the reality still stung. He thought of calling Amara, but didn't want to burden her before her performance. Instead, he called Mi-sun. "He disowned me," he said simply. "Oh, Jun, I'm so sorry." "I'm not," he realized as he said it. "I'm free." That night, the concert hall was packed. Min-jun sat in the back, having told Amara he might be late due to work. He watched Seoul's elite file in, people he had known all his life, who whispered and stared when they saw him. When Amara took the stage, the whispers stopped. She wore a stunning traditional Korean hanbok that Mi-sun had helped her choose, modified with modern touches that made it uniquely hers. She bowed to the audience, then spoke in carefully practiced Korean. "Good evening. I'm honored to be here, sharing music across cultures and continents. Tonight, I want to sing for you, but also with you. Music is a universal language. Let's speak it together." She began with a Korean folk song she had learned, her pronunciation imperfect, but her emotion clear. The audience sat frozen, unsure how to react to this American woman singing their music. But as her voice soared, filling the hall with pure feeling, Min-jun saw shoulders relax, faces soften. She transitioned into jazz standards, then surprised everyone by inviting a traditional Korean musician on stage for an improvised collaboration. East met West in a fusion that should have been jarring but instead created something entirely new and beautiful. By the time she sang her final song, the same one she had recorded for Min-jun, the audience was completely hers. The applause was thunderous, and Min-jun saw even the stiffest society matrons wiping their eyes. He waited until the crowd dispersed before going backstage. Amara was glowing, high on the performance and acceptance. "You were magnificent," he said. "Did you see? They loved it. Min-jun, I was so scared they would hate me, but my father disowned me today," he said quietly. Her joy evaporated. "What?" "Oh, Min-jun, no. Because of me?" "Because of me," he corrected. "Because I chose to live. Don't you dare blame yourself. But your family, your inheritance, are worth nothing if I can't share them with you." He pulled her close. "Amara, you gave me something worth losing everything else for. You gave me myself." She was crying now, and he held her while she processed the weight of his sacrifice. "I can't let you. You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing. The way you chose to take a chance on a cold Korean businessman who forgot how to smile. We're choosing each other. That's what love is." She kissed him then, salt, tears mixing with sweetness. And Min-jun knew with absolute certainty that he had made the right choice. The next weeks were a whirlwind. News of his disinheritance spread through Seoul society like wildfire. Some friends disappeared, but others surprised him with their support. The American companies he had been building relationships with seemed impressed by his independence. Several offered him positions, seeing his break from the family company as an opportunity to recruit talent. Amara's performances gained a cult following. Young Koreans, tired of rigid traditions, flocked to hear the American woman who sang with such passion. She started teaching workshops, mixing jazz techniques with Korean musical traditions. Min-jun often found her surrounded by eager students, her joy infectious. One evening, they sat on the roof of her building, Seoul glittering around them. "I've been thinking," Amara said. "Dangerous habit." She laughed, nudging him. "I'm serious. The exchange program ends in 6 weeks. Min-jun's stomach clenched. He had been avoiding this reality. "But," she continued, "I've been offered a position, teaching at Seoul Institute of the Arts. They want me to develop a cross-cultural music program." He turned to stare at her. "Are you serious?" "The question is, am I brave enough to leave everything I know, move across the world, for..." She gestured between them. "This? Don't stay for me," he said, meaning it. "Stay for yourself. For the music. For the students who need what you have to teach. I'll be here either way. See, that's why I love you," she said simply. "You want me to fly, not clip my wings." It was the first time she had said the words. Min-jun felt his heart explode and reform, bigger than before. "I love you too," he said. In Korean, in English, in music, in silence. In every language that exists. They kissed under the Seoul stars, and Min-jun thought about bridges. How Amara had crossed an ocean to find him again. How he had crossed the chasm between who he was expected to be and who he truly was. How love itself was a bridge, connecting two souls who should never have met but couldn't exist apart. The next morning, he woke to find Amara at the piano, composing. She was humming, scribbling notes, completely absorbed. He watched her work, this woman who had changed everything with her voice and her courage. His phone rang. His mother. He declined the call, but she immediately called again. "Your father had a heart attack," she said without preamble. "He's in the hospital." RDC. Min-jun felt the world tilt. Despite everything, he still loved his father. "I'll be right there." At the hospital, his mother looked older, fragile in the harsh fluorescent light. "He's stable," she said. "But Min-jun, he's been under so much stress. The board is questioning his leadership. The stock prices have dropped since you left. He blames himself for pushing you away." Min-jun sat beside his mother, taking her hand. "He made his choice. I made mine." "Did you make the right one?" she asked, real curiosity in her voice. "Mother, can I show you something?" He pulled out his phone and showed her a video Mi's son had taken. It was Amara, teaching Korean children, helping them find their voices through music. The joy on their faces, the way Amara encouraged each one, the beauty of young voices raised in song. His mother watched in silence. When it ended, she was crying. "She makes people happy," she said softly. "She makes me happy," Min-jun said. "Isn't that worth something? Your father built this empire for you. Maybe it's time to build something for myself." His mother squeezed his hand. "He wants to see you." "But Min-jun, he's stubborn." I don't expect anything," Min-jun said. "I just want him to know I don't hate him. I'm grateful for everything he gave me. I'm just choosing to use it differently." Sath. Min-jun. "I'm just choosing to use it differently." In the hospital room, his father looked smaller, more human, attached to monitors and IVs. His eyes opened when Min-jun entered. "You came," he said, voice rough. "You're my father." "Of course I came." They sat in silence for a moment. Finally, his father spoke. "The company stock will recover," Min-jun interrupted gently. "The company is strong. You built it well. I built it for you. I know, and I'm grateful. But father, What good is an empire if the prince is dead inside? His father closed his eyes. The American woman, Amara. Her name is Amara, and she's brilliant. She speaks 5 languages, graduated from Juilliard, and she's making Korean children believe they can sing. She's not what you wanted for me, but she's exactly what I needed. You gave up everything for her. I gave up everything to become myself. She was just the key that unlocked the cage. His father was quiet for so long Min-jun thought he had fallen asleep. Then he spoke, voice barely audible. I forgot what it was like to choose love over duty. Your mother, she was not the suitable choice either. Once upon a time, Min-jun's eyes widened. His mother had never told him this, but I made her suitable, made her fit the mold. Sometimes I wonder who she might have been if I had let her stay herself. His father opened his eyes, looking directly at his son. Don't make my mistakes, Min-jun. It wasn't forgiveness, not quite. But it was understanding. And that was enough. Min-jun left the hospital feeling lighter. When he got home, Amara was cooking. Badly, but with enthusiasm. The apartment smelled like slightly burned kimchi fried rice. How is he? She asked, immediately. Stubborn, but alive. He wrapped his arms around her from behind. He told me not to make his mistakes. What does that mean? I think it means he's starting to understand. She turned in his arms. And what do you understand? That home isn't a place or a family name or a business empire. It's this. You, me, slightly burned dinner, and the freedom to choose each other every day. Every day, if you'll have me. She kissed him, and it tasted like promises and burned rice and forever. Outside, Seoul pulsed with its usual energy, a city of tradition and innovation, of rigid rules and endless possibilities. Somewhere in that maze of lights, a father lay in a hospital bed reconsidering his choices. A mother looked at old photographs, remembering who she used to be. A sister in Paris smiled, knowing her brother had finally found his courage. And in a small apartment in Hongdae, a Korean businessman who had learned to smile, and an American singer who had learned to be brave, slow danced to imaginary music, building a bridge to tomorrow with every step.